If you feel that you haven't paid enough attention to what's going on in Ukraine right now, here is a quick summary and rundown of what's happened up until 3 o'clock on February 27th. It's hard to explain the whole backstory of Ukraine and Russia's relationship, but here is a little bit of history. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe, and it borders Russia to the east and the northeast. In 1991, Ukraine declared their independence from the Soviet Union and proclaimed that they would no longer follow USSR law. There has been tension between Russia and Ukraine since then. Since 2014, there has been an ongoing armed conflict between primarily Russia and pro-Russian forces and Ukraine, initially centered on the status of Crimea and Donbass, which are internationally recognized as parts of Ukraine. The conflict between the countries has many layers and involves geographical areas, power, security policy, history, identity, and international law. Many different factors have made the tension between Ukraine and Russia increase, and the situation has been described by many as a new Cold War. NATO opened up for Ukraine to become a member in 2008, but they still haven't applied. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, is against Ukraine becoming a member. In spring 2021, Russia began building up forces along the Ukrainian border while repeatedly denying that they were planning an attack. In December 2021, Putin demanded that NATO decrease their presence in Eastern European member countries, but instead they increased it. Multiple NATO countries have supplied Ukraine with military equipment. Putin fears that a more Western Ukraine will become a threat to the Russian regime and wants to control Ukraine. International tension in Ukraine and pro-Russians asking for help gave Russia further excuse to attack. On February 22nd, 2022, Putin ordered military forces to enter Donetsk and Luhansk, two regions referred to as Donbass. Putin officially recognized the two as sovereign states that are independent from the Ukrainian government. The 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is the largest escalation in the ongoing war between them and began on February 24th. Putin announced a special military operation around 5 a.m. local time. The purpose of the operation was said to be to demilitarize Ukraine, as Russia could not feel safe, develop, and exist, claiming modern Ukraine is a threat. Only minutes after the announcement, several locations in Ukraine were hit by missile strikes, including the country's capital, Kyiv. Ukraine's border posts with Russia and Belarus were attacked in multiple locations. Putin, stating that Donetsk and Luhansk are sovereign states, allowed Russian forces to enter the Donbass region. Russian forces continued to move towards Kyiv, as Putin's goal is likely to appoint a new government. Battles were going on in a number of cities, causing massive damages and casualties. Later on the 24th, Russia had taken control of Chernobyl and held staff hostage inside. By 4 p.m., it was estimated that more than 100,000 Ukrainians had fled their homes. Many are seeking shelter in churches and train stations. By 11 p.m., Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky ordered Ukrainians able to carry arms to defend their country and banned men between 18 and 60 from leaving the country. At least 137 civilians and soldiers were killed. Western nations have pledged aid and supplies to Ukrainian forces. Attacks continue, and on the 25th of February, Kyiv is struck by more airstrikes and explosions. President Zelensky asked residents to prepare Molotov cocktails, and 18,000 guns have been distributed to Kyiv residents. The president accused Russia of targeting civilian as well as military sites, and according to a Ukraine government spokesperson, 33 civilian sites had been struck in the last 24 hours. On February 26th, the battle in and around Kyiv intensifies, and the city's mayor reports that 35 people were wounded during the night, including 2 children. President Zelensky tweeted after a conversation with France's President Emmanuel Macron that their partners were sending weapons and equipment, and that the anti-war coalition is working. The Dutch government said they would deliver 200 defense rockets to Ukraine as quickly as possible. The American government offered to help President Zelensky leave Kyiv to avoid being captured or killed, but the president has chosen to stay. Russian troops have captured the city Melitopol in southeastern Ukraine. It's the first significant population center to be taken over during the invasion. The head of the Ukrainian Health Ministry says that at least 198 Ukrainians have been killed so far, including 3 children. 1,115 people have been wounded, including 33 children. Kyiv imposed a curfew from Saturday evening to Monday morning, and the mayor stated that anyone seen in the street will be considered a Russian saboteur. Today is February 27th. According to the UN, the number of refugees has surpassed 368,000. Russian forces are in control of the city Kharkiv. President Zelensky rejected negotiations with Russia in Belarus and said that he's open to conversations in places that haven't shown aggression towards Ukraine. He has now agreed to conversations on the Belarusian border, with the president of Belarus guaranteeing that all missiles and aircrafts in the country stay on the ground during the meeting and of the president's travel time. There have been reported attacks and damages on an oil depot and a nuclear waste storage facility. Ukraine has asked the International Court in Hague to stop Russia's invasion. International sanctions were immediately put in place as a response to Putin's attack. The UK has frozen the assets of all major Russian banks and have excluded them from the UK financial system. A large number of European countries have banned Russia from from their airspace. EU nations are targeting the Russian banking market and the energy sector, as well as export to Russia. US President Joe Biden announced freezing the assets of 4 major Russian banks and cutting them off from US dollar transactions. The US and allies will also cut off a large part of Russia's import for military purposes. Australia has imposed sanctions on Russians who voted to authorize the sending of Russian troops into Ukraine. Russia has been banned from the Council of Europe as well as the Eurovision Song Contest. They've also lost the 2021-22 UEFA Men's Champions League final. Japan is sanctioning Russian financial institutions and individuals, as well as putting in place export sanctions. Belarus has also been hit by sanctions by the UK, the US, and Australia for its role in the attack on Ukraine. Amnesty International has found evidence that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has violated international humanitarian law and that some of the attacks may amount to war crimes. Many hospitals and civilian areas have been struck by attacks. The SWIFT money transfer method has been globally banned for major Russian banks. The UK and the US have, with 25 other countries, agreed to send weapons and other supplies to Ukraine. Despite the international reactions, Putin defends his move to attack, saying there was no other way to defend Russia. Protests have been going on in Russia for weeks. In the beginning of February, 150 prominent Russian activists, academics, and authors signed an open letter, "If only there is no war," opposing an attack on Ukraine. On the day of the invasion, several Russian celebrities criticized it on social media. Petitions and open letters have received large numbers of signatures. Thousands of people gathered in the streets in anti-war protests, leading to over 1,700 arrests in 53 different cities. Russian news outlets have been warned by Russia's communication regulator against falsely depicting what Russia calls a special military operation in Ukraine. In the midst of all this, it's important to remember that Russians and Ukrainians are not enemies. Russian civilians did not choose to go to war, and many of them are also suffering as they're living in a destabilized country right now. Putin's decision to attack Ukraine does not justify harassing or attacking innocent Russians. The situation in Ukraine is absolutely devastating, but let's not forget that it's not an isolated incident. It's the same thing as what's been going on in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, Palestine, and many other countries for years. These conflicts lead to huge numbers of suffering civilians, and all of them deserve peace, justice, and safety. We need to fight for everyone's right to sovereignty and democracy. I'm going to read a small part from Barack Obama's statement on the situation. "We all face a choice between a world in which might makes right and autocrats are free to impose their will through force, or a world in which free people everywhere have the power to determine their own future." And then a quote by Martin Luther King that I think is very important. I've seen it shared around on this situation because, contrary to what some people think, this world is not big enough for the situation to not affect all of us. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I've put some resources down below if you're wondering what you can do to help. Something else that's really important: we need to prevent misinformation being spread, so please only share verified information on social media. We need people to see the true picture of what's going on. We also need to put pressure on our governments to take action. Write your officials, write your local representatives, write anyone that can influence your government into taking action, because we really need to help in any way that we can. Also, as a last note, please keep in mind that this situation is devastating and people are being killed. People are living in fear. Please stop spreading jokes and memes. It's not the time. This situation is not funny. People are dying. Babies are being born in shelters. Please do not make memes about this situation. It's not funny. Instead, you can put your energy into sharing helpful links, donating, writing to your government officials, sharing resources, and sharing valuable information. Thank you so much for watching this video.